Hey everyone, welcome back to the Daily Kitchen. Today I made a really hearty and delicious vegan breakfast for my family of tempeh bacon with lumberjack pancakes. So I wanted to share with you in a video how I prepared this delicious breakfast. You're going to need one package of tempeh, some teriyaki seasoning like this one I use from Sanjay brand, some olive oil, some maple syrup, some whole wheat flour. I like to use organic cornmeal as well. Then you're going to need some reduced fat coconut milk. I get this one at Trader Joe's. Then I use my own homemade baking powder. I'll share a link in the description for how I make that. Then you're going to need some baking soda, a little bit of sugar, and some salt. I like to use the Real Salt brand. The cooking equipment that you'll need to make this dish includes a scooper, a whisk, a mixing bowl, some measuring spoons, measuring cups, and you're also going to need a skillet to cook the pancakes in, as well as another skillet to cook the tempeh bacon in. I think you're really going to like this delicious and hearty breakfast. So let's make the pancakes. First, you're going to add 1 1/2 of a cup of whole wheat flour to a mixing bowl. Then you're going to add 1/2 of a cup of cornmeal. The cornmeal in these pancakes makes these nice and hearty and taste perfect for a lumberjack. Then you're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. I like to use the natural baking soda from Bob's Red Mill that I purchased on Amazon. Then you're going to need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Like I said, this is a homemade baking powder I like to use. I make it with natural ingredients and doesn't contain any aluminum. Then I add 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt. This is the Real Salt brand. Then I use 2 tablespoons of organic sugar. Then you're going to mix all of these dry ingredients together thoroughly with a whisk. Make sure that the baking powder and baking soda are nice and incorporated so you don't have any clumps. Once everything is nice and mixed together in the dry mix, then you're going to add your liquid. I like to use this organic reduced fat coconut milk from Trader Joe's. This is a lower fat version of coconut milk, and it does make a nice addition to this recipe because it makes it so you don't have to use oil inside of the recipe. It adds a little fat and creaminess. If the coconut milk is too hard, like this one that I had, then you're just going to add it to a skillet and bring it to a warm temperature. You're not really trying to cook the coconut milk, you just need to heat it up. Next, you're going to cut open your package of tempeh. This is a 1 package of tempeh that serves about 2 to 2.5 people. This is one I get from Trader Joe's. It's really delicious. It's packed with protein, packed with fiber, and great for a nice hearty vegan breakfast. I just slice the tempeh into strips like this, but you can also slice it into long strips if you prefer, or you can crumble it. Just depends on how you like to have your tempeh bacon. Then I heat a skillet and make sure it's nice and hot, and then I add a little bit of olive oil to the skillet. While I'm waiting for my skillet to heat up, I'm checking on my coconut milk to make sure that it's nice and warm and all of those clumps of coconut cream have dispersed. When all the coconut cream has dispersed and it's no longer cold, then you can go ahead and add this coconut milk to your batter. I'm going to just add the olive oil now into the skillet so I can start cooking my tempeh while I'm mixing together my pancake batter. I'm just adding the slices of the tempeh to this skillet. I'm flattening them so that they can start to cook on one side. I want them to get nice and brown in the skillet, and then I'm going to flip them when they're browned on that one side. If you prefer to cook your tempeh without oil, you can go ahead and just add your slices of tempeh to a hot skillet with 1/4 cup of water. You might want to cover the skillet a little bit. Then I'm going to preheat my pancake pan on a medium-low heat. You want to make sure that you're using a burner that doesn't get too hot, so I do switch over my burner to a smaller flame so that I don't overcook those pancakes. Next, I'm going to add this Sanjay sweet teriyaki sauce to my tempeh. This is a really nice, sweet, savory, salty flavor, but you can also just use regular soy sauce or tamari or Bragg's liquid aminos or whatever seasoning that you prefer on your tempeh. Make sure that you don't overcook the sauce. You just want to saute it around for about 1 minute so that it can absorb into the tempeh and cook, but you don't want to keep cooking it because it will caramelize too much and then it will end up burning. So now I'm just going to turn off my heat and let my tempeh sit aside while I cook my pancakes. It looks so good. The sauce on these tempehs was so delicious. Now I have some of the batter already in my skillet with my pancakes. I just used my scooper to scoop out about a 1/4 cup of batter per pancake. Once it's starting to bubble in the center, then you know your pancake is ready to flip. I use a metal spatula like this one. It's really thin and it gets underneath those pancakes really well. For this first batch of pancakes, I cooked these without any oil in the pan, and you can see they cook up a little bit differently, so it just depends on if you want to use no added oil or not, and it just depends on what you like your pancakes to turn out like. I'm just going to portion my tempeh onto this serving dish with those first round of cooked pancakes, and then I'm going to go ahead and cook the rest of my pancakes, and my breakfast is nice and ready. Now for the second batch of pancakes, I did use a little bit of vegan butter in the skillet, and you can see that they did turn out a little bit differently when cooked. So if you like your pancakes more fried, just coat a little bit of vegan butter or olive oil into the skillet, and that's it. Now here's the finished dish. I made this nice, delicious, hearty pancake breakfast that my whole family enjoyed. It's packed with protein, whole grains, and makes a nice, warm, hearty meal for any lumberjack you know. I just coat mine in a little bit of maple syrup and serve. Well, I hope you enjoyed this pancake tutorial with tempeh bacon, and I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.